What is up, humans of the cardboard? Welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today we have our top 5 cards from Burst of Destiny, the set when the last couple days got officially fully revealed. We know every card except for like TCG exclusive and imports, but at least talking about the core part of the set, we know everything. There's a lot of awesome stuff. I've already made videos talking about why this is the best core set of the year, and in my opinion, honestly, the best set of the year we've had revealed so far. We'll see about Megatins and you know, Eldorado Maximum Gold. They obviously, reprints can be insane as well, but for right now, new sets with new products, new cards, this is the best set so far to me. But that's another video. Today we're talking about the 5 best cards in the set. Keep in mind, I'm trying to focus on more generic stuff, not necessarily stuff that's like in archetype stuck, because that's like, I don't know, it's so like, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? That's so specific to the deck if it has to revolve around the deck. I'm talking about stuff that can be utilized a little more generically in other archetypes. Makes it definitely more widely desirable by players and more interesting that way, being splashed and other stuff. But before we do, I actually have a decent amount of list of honorable mentions. So let's just go through those real quick. It's almost like 10 cards. First off, we have Long Yuan, the Xiangjian Tactician. It's a really cool card. You just need to discard, excuse me, any other Xiangjian card or a worm monster jumps out of the hand on summon. It also summons a token, which is going to be a level 4 tuner. So he is essentially, with a discard, a 1.5 card, just synchro level 10. Super easy. And it burns your opponent when he's used as a link material. So that's also just a synchro material, which is a nice little bonus. Nice extender for worm decks. Just any general worm deck might want to play this card. Next up, we have Supernatural Danger Zone. It's a cool card. If you ever summon a non-effect monster, you can just target a card your opponent controls and destroy it. That's your turn, your opponent's turn. It's a continuous spell, so that's kind of nice. And it kind of floats into a vanilla if it's ever destroyed by opponent's card effect. So pretty cool card. Interesting in something like Tenyi, I would say, but I don't know how many other things are super interesting for it, but still cool. Next up, Rokket Caliber is a really cool extender for like dark decks that like to link summon. Orcus comes to mind. I think this card's actually really, really interesting there, particularly just because Rockets have actually fairly recently been seeing play being splashed in stuff like Orcus. That's been one of the more popular builds. It's been doing relatively decent on like the local like range, and so I don't know, that could be a nice little card for them. Next up, we have Xiangjian Sudden Shift. This is another worm support card. Targets a worm you control and 2 other cards your opponent controls. Destroy all 3. Really, really cool for stuff like Tenyi. This card is so cool for Tenyi. But it's any worm deck. I know there's not a ton of worm decks out there. It's also cool for Yang Zings as well. All of them float when they're destroyed, which is really cool. And I don't know, like it's a cool card. It is worm locked, but I do like that it's generic. It's just another Icarus attack, but for a new type. I love them. I love all of them. Next up is Transonic Bird. This one's kind of one that kind of went under the radar. I almost didn't understand fully what it's really doing for you, but it's actually pretty good. So once per turn, you can reveal a ritual spell in your hand, and if you do, you can add a ritual monster that's name is listed on the ritual spell. Then you shuffle the ritual spell back into the deck. But what's really cool is once during your opponent's turn as a quick effect, you can send a ritual spell straight from the deck to the grave. Then this effect becomes that ritual spell. So he essentially becomes the ritual spell as a quick effect on the opponent's turn. And then that's really cool. But also what's really cool is if he's tributed for a ritual summon, or it's just tributed period, after he's been ritual summoned, he can target any face-up card your opponent controls negate. So extra bonus there. It's a cool support card. Like, it makes me think of like what the Megalith cards were doing for like ritual decks, giving them that quick summon to like trigger Bethor and pop a bunch of cards. Pretty cool. Next up is Stained Glass of the Valiant. Almost put this card in the top 5. I will tell you that. It gives you a Graceful Charity if you have a fairy on your field. It gives you a essentially Delinquent Duo if you control a fiend. It is a trap though, so it's a little slower, but still a pretty crazy card, all things considered. So it is type locked again for like what you got to play, but some decks can just make a Nightmare and a Fairy, no problem. Do both. Pretty insane. Cool card. Next up is Flunderveze and the Unknown Wind for honorable mention. Cool card. If you're going to tribute summon a monster that requires 2 tributes, you can actually send 1 card your opponent controls to the grave as one of the tributes. Very cool. This is a non-targeting, non-destruction, non-activated card, like effect out to a big boss monster like Dragoon, like a Towers-esque effect. This is just like a replacement effect. So it's not even activating. They're not even being affected by a card effect, I don't believe. So that's crazy. And it also gives you consistency in a Winged Beast deck. Not the craziest thing, but could help. Whatever, it's somewhat generic. Ecclesia, the Virtuous in white. A lot of you might have expected to see this in the actual top 5, but it did not make it. It's a cool generic extender. I just think it's a little bit too specific. Like, sure, it jumps out of the hand, but it's only going second. Your opponent has to have more monsters than you, so any going first deck really doesn't want to see this in the main going first. Really awkward there. It forces you to play something like Albaz in the main, or you just need to be playing Xiangjian. I guess you could be playing the other hand trap, and that would make it a little bit better, but that at most make this like a side deck card, and so it just barely missed out on the top 5. This is probably card number 6, to be honest. And the last honorable mention here we have is Zoroa, the Magistus Daimon. The only thing that type blocks him is the fact that he needs a spellcaster tuner, but that's not the worst thing in the world. Other than that, once you summon him, he kind of takes care of everything. He doesn't need to be in a Magistus deck necessarily. He's going to immediately be able to equip himself with any of the Magistus monsters. Ideally, the Link is cool because that gives you a search for like something like Crowley, the extender in the deck. While also just saying now you just have a walking skill drain for all Link monsters your opponent controls, which is really, really powerful for against a lot of decks in the meta right now. And on top of that, he can summon himself back from grave as well, which is always just nice. So really cool card. Actually works kind of generically in like a couple of different decks, not just Magistus, so I want to throw him out there. But getting to the actual top 5. Number 5, let's just get into this, okay? The honorable mentions out of the way. There's a lot of good cards in the set. I get it. Let's go. Number 5, Sunvine Sowing. This card is number 5 for a reason. These are in order, by the way. This card's insane. And I know what you're saying, John, it's type locked, it's only plant support. Okay, but there's like a good amount of plant decks, and this card is amazing for all of them. This doesn't do anything except for lock you into plants from the extra deck, okay? Most plant decks only need plants from the extra deck. They might want to go into Hockey Firebrax, but also keep in mind, this card says for the rest of the turn, not during the entire turn, which means like if you go into a non-plant first, you can't activate this anymore, or vice versa. This card, you could literally go into Hulk, get the play started, get hand trap maybe, and then activate Sunvine Sowing and play through it. So you could still try and fit that kind of stuff in your extra deck. The only thing I'd say about this is that if you're going to play this on Avalon stuff, you might need a decent amount of extra deck slots just to make this worth it. But this card is just an insane extender. It's just like the new age like quick launch, but it locks you into plant, so it's like plant type. But I just think this card is like so huge. It's a 1-card combo by itself without normal summoning. That's crazy. It's so insane. So yeah, respect this card for sure. And it's Baelink's Engrave. Gee, boy. Baelink's Engrave. Jeez. Okay, next up, Cheng Ying, number 4. The Xiangjian Grand Duke. This is a generic, completely generic, any tuner and any non-tuner. Level 10 Synchro, 3,000, 3,000. He gains 100 attack for every banished card, not just yours, but your opponent's too. So play Desires, play whatever that's banishing. DD Crow, I don't care. This card's incredible. Also, if he would ever be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can banish a card from your graveyard instead. That's pretty good. Pretty much can't be destroyed. And the last effect says, if any card or cards are banished, except during the damage step, period. Your opponent, you, from grave, from deck, from hand, anything is banished. He can trigger to banish 1 card each from your opponent's grave and field. That is non-targeting banish from field and graveyard at the same time. That is insanely strong. This card is crazy. You can tech this with cards like DD Crow. If you play the trap in the archetype, you activate the trap targeting him. He protects himself with his own effect, banishing something from grave. By the way, that banishes any card from grave to protect, not just in archetype cards. So even generically, that still works with any deck you're teching it in. And then he triggers to banish, banish. You're literally popping 2, then going banish, banish. Insane. That beats like almost every deck I can think of if you're timing it well. Crazy, crazy card. Cannot wait for this card to hit the scene. This card's going to be insane. Next up, Small World. This card is insanely crazy. You might want to read it yourself. It essentially means you need, if you have this in hand with a monster, you can essentially search it with, it's so weird to explain. Okay, so you use this card, you reveal a monster in hand, then you reveal a monster in your deck who is of the same type, attribute, level, attack, or defense any of them. It doesn't have to be all of them. It just needs to be anything. They can have the same type, but nothing else be the same. The same attribute, nothing else be the same, and so on. Then you banish the card. You banish the card from your hand, right? So you reveal the monster in hand. You show one monster from the deck with the same type and attribute. You banish the monster you revealed in hand. Then you can add any monster from deck to hand with the same type, attribute, level, attack, or defense. Same thing. Any one thing in common with the monster. I believe that you showed from the deck, not the monster shown from hand. So you just need something that's like that can be connected from a monster in hand to a monster in deck to another monster in deck that you want to search. So it's all going to be deck building based. It is technically a -1, but if this is searching you an insane extender, an insane starter that you really need, something like that, this card could be huge. It searches so many cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! And I think we're really going to see some like creative deck building that's going to make use of this card as a consistency piece and or utility piece, and it's going to be insane. I cannot wait to see what this card actually sees play with. But I do think the potential is like crazy. It's just a little bit to wrap your head around at first, but I think once it's around for a little bit, we'll all get more used to it. Number 2, King of the Sky Prison. I don't think this is a shock to anybody. This card seems insane. This card seems crazy. It kind of just reminds me of Nibiru as a card we've never seen do anything like it. It's also a level 10 rock. I think Nibiru might be a level 11, but it's a big rock. Same thing, which means it's also searchable by Gallant Granite. That's kind of crazy. A lot going on here. Okay, here's what this guy does, though. During your main phase, you can reveal him in hand. And if you do, while this card is revealed, set cards on the field cannot be destroyed by card effects. Monsters, spells, or traps, nothing can be destroyed while they're face down. Secondly, if a set spell or trap is activated, you can special summon this guy from the hand. Then, if this card was already... if this guy was summoned from hand while he was already revealed, or you had already revealed him on a prior turn, then you can set any spell or trap directly from your deck, but banish it during the next, the end phase of the next turn. Insane. That's so insane. He searches any spell or trap in the game. Yes, he does set it, and yes, he does take setup because you cannot use both effects in the same turn. So you'd have to, like, your first turn, reveal him in hand, then on your opponent's turn, activate a spell or trap as disruption, trigger him in hand to then special, and then that would get you the search. But this searches you follow-up. This could search you potentially like a game, like a busted spell or trap that's going to like swing the tide of the game. So much stuff this card gives you access to. One-offs like Harpy's Feather Duster you can just set if you're playing against a back row matchup and just blow them out. This card seems crazy. The only gripe you could ever have with it is it seems a tad bit slow. But that's it. That is absolutely it. And what's really cool is even turn 1, you could just set a regular spell, activate a spell as part of your combo, and activate this dude just to summon himself. Now, he won't get you the free spell or trap, but you still just put a level 10 3k body on field. That can help you go for game. That can help you, maybe if you just need an extender from hand, that could be cool. I think that seems actually quite crazy. So, King of the Sky Prison. Insane. Get with it. Final card on here is Borrelcode Dragon. Cover card. I feel like Konami had actually whiffed on a couple cover cards that were like not that great. Like they were cover cards because they were like big scary boss monsters, but they weren't that good. This one's pretty fucking good because it like seems like it has like almost the power level of something like a Borrel Sword or an Access Code, but it's Link 3 and not Link 4. It takes any 2 or more effect monsters. He can't be destroyed by card effects while a Link monster points to him. So if you're making him below the extra monster zone he's being pointed to, that's pretty damn good. Also, you can only use each of his other effects once per turn. At the start of damage step, if his card was that was link summoned using 3 different monsters, so ideally you want to be making him with 3 monsters. That's the only thing that's like not amazing is you can't just make a link 2 and then go into him. You want to use 3 materials. Is battling, you just destroy all monsters on the field. Keep in mind if he's being pointed at by a link monster, he will protect himself, which is pretty cool. But also you can banish this card from grave to banish a dark monster on the field with 3,000 or more attack. And if you do, special summon a topologic monster from your extra deck or grave. That's so fucking insane. This is a this is a non-targeting banish of any dark monster with 3,000 or more attack. By the way, this says on the field, not you control. So if there's a Dragoon on the field, banish Dragoon and summon a topologic for free. If there's an access code, Boral Sword, you somehow did not die and your opponent still controls them. Borrelcode Savage will be over 3,000. Banished from grave. Win the duel. Also, like, you could just use something like Dogmatica Punishment to pop something and send this guy to save as an out for something later on in the duel once you know the matchup, and just scare them off of anything big and dark. Pretty insane. I think this card's pretty crazy as like an out to a lot of different things. By the way, this destruction effect, it does destroy, but it doesn't target. So like anything that's untargetable still gets wiped by this. Very, very insane card. This card will make it so a lot of decks will have easier time breaking through boards. And it'll be another option to something like Access Code that's a little easier to go into. Maybe there are decks that aren't as good at going all the way to a link 4 as easy, but they could get to a link 3. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. It's a really cool utility card, and it's so generic. It's so easy to splash and stuff. Can't wait to see where it comes up. So yeah, that is it. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. I would love to hear what you guys think. Let me know if you think something else should have made it into the top 5. Let me know if you think I should have swapped the order around a little bit. I don't know. We're still super early. We haven't seen much testing, even from the OCG with any of these cards. And so I'd love to hear your thoughts on what you think is going on with this set, because I think it's amazing. I think the set is really good. It's like an 8 or 9 out of 10 for me. And it's great. I don't know. But thank you so much for watching. As always, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more discussions like this one in the future. And see you. Bye.